Some of you like to scold me for not being into chronological jumping. There's a big one where it's like, hey, how come you don't accept chronological time jumps? It's like, because I don't have to. That's all. It's just fun. I like carbon dating. I think it's kind of cool. I think there's certainly a lot of errors in things, but we need to keep an open mind about it. I'm not like religiously a carbon datist. However, I just really love technology. And when we look at like rock fissures, when rocks are cut, the radioactive decay that starts to take place, and you look at things like carbon dating and all the things we can find out about DNA, which I know some of you guys are like, DNA's bunk, and there's there's all kind, or debunk, whatever. It's fine. I'm not holding on to these truths in some kind of objective way. I believe that we render things to solve problems. And so every render that we have, as long as it has some sort of information that you can manipulate, I didn't say it correct. I said that you can manipulate, and if you manipulate it, you can have some kind of tangible result in the world. I think you've got a reality. That's really it. Additionally, I don't think that you need to find anyone else to agree with your reality so you can get like a stamp of approval from like the agoric majority that tells you your reality's real. I get why we do that. I think it's important as we're growing up to have this sort of training wheels that we add, But after a while, when you have enough calories, you can just you're ready to render your own space. This really just seems like it's the way it happens. We render reality from a cellular nucleus inside a liquid enclosure. This liquid enclosure has a cellular nucleus that is our id. We connect to each other electrochemically through a multiplayer network of ion channels, light cones. All of my bilipid skin has these holes. These holes have openings, portholes that open and close and fold and crease and discern and spit out and curl and turn and twist. And that my personality is a percentage of holes that are open and a percentage of holes that are closed. Ultimately, that's who I am. It's a collective cellular input from a Elohim type cellular creature that is sharing its holes collectively. And all these holes have all this vital information. Some of the most intensely high resolution information is coming in through these holes. Not just what time it is, but what is the amino acid chain? What is the signature or the flavor of something that's coming in through the hole? What was the trajectory? What was the destination? What is collected in the same time frame? What is the mood and timbre of the other cells around me that have absorbed this same light cone? All of these things, it's so intricate that we would need to allow ourselves to hallucinate so that we can just figure out how to discern the data. And after hundreds of thousands of years, after tens of thousands of years, you're aware of its presence. How are you aware of its presence? How are you aware? You're aware through your first eye. You can call it your third eye. But for today, we're going to call it the first eye. Welcome to James True Live. Let's get this first eye started. The pine cone, the flaming eye. Here's that eye in the pyramid I showed you about. There's just a better picture of it, that's all. We don't need to talk about it, though. If you notice that in this illustration, this is a pretty famous illustration of the chakras in the body. And the ajna chakras up here and the crown. And I always noticed that this guy's stare was really odd. And I think it's on purpose. This guy is not looking directly at you. This guy is staring directly in front of himself, but behind his eyes. This guy is gazing from his third eye. I've seen this illustration for years, and I just never put it together. I don't know if you can see it too, but man, it is really there. Hats off to you, 100 BC dude. Probably eunuch. Who knows? Maybe not. We'll talk about eunuchs soon. Man, there's a lot of let's cut our dick off in China, but that's a whole other topic for another time. Thank you for watching James True. This Shiva eye you might have seen in the intro to this very show. On the forehead of the smiling Buddha is this shell. The shell you can obviously see is a compression of a fractal of some kind. This shell has all of the information in it. There's a singular point up top, a singular eye up top here, and that singular point has all of the other information inside of that point. It just simply unwinds through time. So just like that, so too does our hallucination unwind from our first eye. We receive it and then we unwind it. The concept of a pineapple has this idea of it dilating. The pineapple is dilated on the right. It's the eyes of the pine cone are separated, and so the space between is able to detect and determine reality. This is such a beautiful example, or symbol I should say, of the pineal, because the pineal is full of brain sand, and that the granules of brain sand are able to be compressed and to separate, and that compression and that separation gives you information. Remember how we're like, wait, I can sense the sun, and if your pineal was to open, then the space between all those eyes, the space between all the brain sand figures, would be able to determine trajectories. James, you're making this up. You can't determine trajectories between pieces of sand, James. This is absurd. And frankly, I'm going to leave a comment right now explaining how absurd this is. This is the Mexican blindfish. This is not a colloquial thing. It's not a racist comment. So a lot of people think that. Anyway, this is a Mexican blindfish. And the Mexican blindfish doesn't have any eyes. That's why they call him the Mexican blindfish. And the reason why I find this interesting, first of all, if you guys would buy more of my books, I could take my lady down to Tulum and we could just spend 6 months swimming through the caves of Mexico, because honestly, the entire eastern coast is connected like thousands of miles of freshwater caves, and I have not been in there. I want to pee in those waters. I just do. I think it'd be important. So buy my book, that would help. But inside those caves is this Mexican blindfish, and he doesn't know you're peeing because he's first of all, he's from Mexico, so he doesn't know you're European. There's a deep joke right there. I'll give you a few seconds. 3. European, get it? Mexican, I won't explain these anymore. That's your last chance. Passive sonar via the skin. This fish sees through passive sonar via the skin because he's inside a liquid matrix that does in fact actually have a little bit of electrolytes, a little bit of charge. There's information that's in the water. And the movement of the electrical information imbues the fish with information. So his entire body is a passive sonar device, a transducer, a rubberized electrical isolated microphone. And his entire body is that microphone. Thank you, Portafon. Appreciate it for the super chat. This microphone of his skin is always on and it's always listening. And so through passive sonar, the fish can just stand there and he knows the entire layout of the cave. The cave that he's swimming in, despite the fact it's in the dark, despite the fact that he has no eyes, he knows the shape of the cave because he can listen to the electric echoes as they bounce off the cave walls. The liquid electric echoes. I'm going to call them electrolytes. I realize that's probably not the scientific term, but a lot of us like to kind of picture electrolytes and Gatorade's like a liquid, and a gator is an alligator, which is a reptile, and reptiles are kind of cool, and they're prehistoric, so it has all the icons and archetypes that I need, so I'm going to use the word electrolyte. Okay, let's get back to the show. This blind fish is able to smell electrolytes through his armpits, his butthole, his fins, every piece of his skin. This is just one type of his listening device. That's the passive type. The other type is he's able to pucker his lips. You've seen fish do this, right? You've seen fish do this? Probably never heard this. You're about to hear this on James True Live. The fish is seeing with his lips. Now, we could call this echolocation, but it's not. It's even more primitive than echolocation. What, James? You can't get more primitive than echolocation. Yes, you can. But what is echolocation, you might ask? Oh, thank you for asking. The bat has echolocation, right? The dolphin has echolocation. This is the idea, though, of sending a signal or listening to a signal and gauging a time. Your neurons have an internal clock inside them. The internal clock's running all the time, and it's able to hit a stopwatch, and then it's able to hit a stopwatch, it's able to hit a stopwatch, and it's able to predict a perturbation that's in the water. Now, that perturbation doesn't give a distance yet, right? But if you, the fish, have sensed the perturbation and then you get closer to the perturbation gets faster. And then if you swim away from the perturbation, it gets slower. And what do we just do? We can fucking see. Holy cow. We can see simply by listening to our perturbations. This is what the fucking toothed whales, those motherfuckers, this is what they do. They walk around blindfold. It won't matter. You could blindfold them all. They'd still get by. But this Mexican fish, yeah, I said it. The Mexican fish has no eyes. And it's the only thing that's really given science enough understanding to go, holy shit, how does this thing work? And it works like this. So the passive sonar is just the input of its skin, feeling the electrolytes in the water. But then by puckering its lips, it doesn't count the distance between each pucker. It's not counting time. It's not. It doesn't have an advanced brain for that kind of thing. It's counting pressure. Inside a cave, it's all it takes. Right? It's all it takes. When the fish is entering into a place that's new, you can hear this, right? Does this. Does it faster. Faster and faster and faster. Why? It's gaining resolution. It's gaining magnitude of pressure change, and that pressure change gives it more resolution, and that resolution jumps from a low K display, right, with 1 frames per second to 60 frames per second, of 8K, right? This is brilliant. Guess what? You can do this. You do it. You've been doing it. You've been doing it. It's such a subtle energy. And quite frankly, the other things that you have, not going to mention any names, but look at you eye holes, but these other instruments that you have, quite frankly, are so loud that you are no longer listening to the subtle puckering of the world around you. You are kissing the world blindly. What a beautiful idea. Beautiful idea. I bring this Mexican fish to you, which really sounds like an insult. It's not. I bring this Mexican fish to you because it's proof of the flaming eye of Shiva. It's showing you that this is not just a concept. Not only is it not just a concept, it's a living part of you, that you have this same trick inside of you. You're just simply more complex. This is old school information for you. Like you've known about this for a long time. So long that you've kind of forgotten about the skill. But not anymore, because you're listening to James True. Hit that like button, people!